There are growing calls for Senator Nicole Mitchell to resign. The Democrat from Woodbury faces a first-degree felony burglary charge in connection to a home break-in last month at her stepmother's home. Mitchell denies any wrongdoing. Her attorney says she will continue to serve her constituents until, quote, her criminal case is fully and finally adjudicated. DFL Party Chair Ken Martin and Governor Tim Walz are among the growing number of politicians pressuring her to step aside. Earlier today, DFL Senate Majority Leader Erin Murphy spoke about the issue.
I saw, like everybody else did, Chair Ken Martin's statement this morning. And I want to go back to the beginning, that Senator Mitchell is entitled to due process. And that is something our caucus has stood by the entire tenure since her situation has emerged. The people who sent her here also deserve representation, and we believe deeply and strongly in that. This is a serious situation. We've always maintained that, and she has a hard discussion that she needs to have with the people in Senate District 47 about her continued work here. I will say, if I were faced with the same situation, given what we experienced with the Republicans making this a focal point of the last number of weeks of the session, they spent more than 6 hours in making motions, erasing precedent from past years in the ways that the legislature has dealt with situations involving criminal cases. If I were in her shoes, given what we're facing and the need for our ability to continue to govern for the people of Minnesota, I would step aside. And I hope, as I continue to talk with her, that she reaches that conclusion. If I were in her shoes, given the circumstances and the importance of our responsibility to govern for the people of Minnesota, I would step aside.
But you would step aside is different than asking her. Have you asked her to?
I think it's important for us to remember that she has to make this decision. And I am, talking with her about the consequences of what we experienced at the very end of session, when 6 hours of floor time, precious floor time, were spent on motions. I think that both imperils her due process and it imperiled our ability to govern. And I don't want that for us to continue. I want us to be a strong caucus, which is why I'm raising for her the questions about our ability together as a caucus to govern for the people of Minnesota.
You may not call for it yourself directly, but you've had these conversations with her, and I'm wondering if you've shared with her that if you were in that situation, what your decision would be, and that it would be to resign.
What I have shared with her is an illumination of the experience that we had together at the end of last session. Our GOP colleagues in the minority made this a fixture of their debate. It made it much harder for us to get the work that we intended to get done for the people of Minnesota. And I want to say we are at the end of a very productive biennium, the end of a very productive 2 years, historic work that we have done together as a caucus. We were determined to do that. I'm really grateful for the accomplishments of the work that we have done together. But I also know that as we head into 2025 and the next budget cycle, that we need to be on very strong and stable footing. And I want to make sure that we're doing that with people who are able to represent their districts adequately, fully, and strongly. And I want Senator Mitchell to consider those things as she's making this decision. I have continued to maintain that she deserves and is entitled to due process. She's getting that through an ethics hearing. This will be the second. And she has a court appearance, I understand, coming up on June 10th. I want her to have those things. I want her to have those things she needs to. They're a basic American principle. And we will deal with whatever decision she makes when she makes it. I am thinking about the caucus, the strength and well-being of our caucus, and our ability to govern and lead for the people of Minnesota.
Is there a risk that comes with having a special election rather than allowing this to go on the ballot in November?
I think if she were to tender her resignation before June 8th or after June 8th, it would be a special election. And we will do our jobs and win that seat if there's a vacancy.
Is there a sense of urgency to have her step down before June 8th so that special election can fall on the day of the general for sheer turnout reasons? I mean, special elections not on a otherwise deemed election day can be low turnout and could risk the majority.
So I have spent the last number of days since we were together at the point of adjournment thinking a lot about the last weeks of the session. And our obligation, our responsibility, and the privilege that we have when Minnesotans sent us here with the majority. And our obligation and responsibility to represent the interests and make changes to improve their lives. That's what I am thinking about. I want us to be in the strongest position to do that, and we are going to come back next session ready to do that work, and I want to make sure that we have a caucus that is ready with 34 strong, ready to serve members.